In today's episode, we're going to be talking about, otherwise known as Patty Mayo. Is the guy real or is the guy staged? He is actually a YouTube personality known as Patty Mayo, the bounty hunter, or otherwise he's playing right now as a cop on this show. So I want to actually tell you if the guy is real or not. And my studies, and after I've been watching him for a while, I do like and enjoy his show, is that I think the whole thing is totally staged. So let's get into the background. Who is the guy? Patty Mayo, he's actually somebody who used to go and create YouTube pranksters and interesting videos. I used to love his videos before he actually started to show the actual bounty hunting videos. So this was interesting that he went from a prankster to a bounty hunter. The question is, why did he change it? Why did he decide to become a bounty hunter? And the answer to that is quite simple. YouTube actually changed its terms of service, and no longer you can do pranks or get paid for them. In other words, you could still do pranks as much as you want. You can show nudity, you can swear, you can do all those things. And within a reason, as long as it goes not against terms of service with YouTube, you can actually show it on that channel. Now, you are not going to get monetized for a lot of those videos. And since you can't get monetized for those videos, Patty Mayo was not getting the income that he wanted. Because of the change of the platform, he decided he wants to move to something else, more like a reality TV show known as bounty hunting. Now, we don't know for sure if he is an actual bounty hunter, but I can attest for one thing: the guy is not really hired, and nobody is gonna in the right mind hire the guy to be an actual bounty hunter just because the whole thing is staged and is shown on TV. And because of that, you have to understand a few things about bounty hunting. If you're a real bounty hunter, you need to have a license, a permit to carry specifically firearms that Patty Mayo actually carries. So the first thing I actually did, I went around and I looked up a few things over here. And one of the things I looked at is his actual license. So you can go ahead, you can look it up. It's Bureau of Security Investigation Services in California, ca.gov. And here's what you find. The guy, otherwise known as Patty Mayo, his actual name is Thomas Patrick. The license type, it says here, is security guard, which it says current. Issue date 2014, expiration date 2020. And you can actually have a link below where you can find this information. And he has an actual address of record. So he actually lives in Northern California, around San Francisco, and he's filming everything as Los Angeles, which is a little bit weird here because all of his movies are in LA. Not movies, I mean arresting as a bounty hunter. Another thing it says here, qualified firearms permit, which is for security, business or professional license, exposed firearm permit. And here is his license number, 2617334. And also it is in Sayers City, California, which is Solano County, otherwise very close to San Francisco. So if he got this so-called security license over there, that means most likely he is hired and he still lives over there, but in reality he lives in Los Angeles. So why Los Angeles? Well, if you live in Los Angeles, you can film things. So it's a little bit very tricky here when it comes to that. Now, a few other things that are interesting, and well, I started to understand the guy is not really what he is. So he's making movies, and he's filming so-called those times. There's a cameraman always watching and filming the guys who are so-called committing the crime. So if you're a criminal, you're committing a crime, what is the one thing you'll be concerned about? Also called if you are trying to escape from a bounty hunter. The camera. You'll be probably pissed off that somebody is filming you, and you'll probably do a big deal about that. In most of his videos, this is not the case. They as if the camera doesn't exist, and there is actually more than one guy who is filming from different kind of directions, and they don't pay attention to it as much as they actually should. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they actually don't. So this is the one thing that is a big giveaway. Two thing is their faces. It's not being blurred out. So why should it be blurred out? Well, the whole party of California is a two-state consent. So if you're filming somebody, you have to have consent from them as well. Because you have to have consent from two people, unlike Florida where you have to have only consent from one person. To put this stuff actually in front of YouTube legally without getting sued, you have to have consent from the second person who is a party, which is the actual person who is getting arrested as being. So if there is a bounty hunter who comes in after you, he has to sign the consent. Why would he sign it? There is no reason for him to sign it. And every single time their faces are not blurred out, which means they consented to every single one of those things. Obviously, it probably is staged. And if it is staged, there's going to be a casting call somewhere, and I found the casting call is worldwide, interestingly enough. Now, 2 and 2 might not actually equal 4 here, but at the same time, a lot of things do equal together. Next thing, he decided to become a police officer. Now, the question is, why is he in the first place working as a bounty hunter would be the first question. Is he making enough on YouTube that he has to sell his t-shirts right when you start? So the first thing he does, every single show, he is actually calling out names of people who bought their t-shirt. What in the right kind of company would hire somebody who does this right in front of the camera without actually taking a piece of the action? Well, that could be a reason, but most likely he's not making enough money. So if he's not making enough money, I looked up the salary. Around 50 to 60,000 bucks you can make if you are arresting people as bounty hunters, and some of them you make pretty good bail money. So by arresting all those people, he's supposed to be making good cash. Yet he's doing YouTube videos. In reality, he's probably making way more on YouTube than he's arresting anybody and putting them in so-called jail. Talking about putting people in jail, and he actually decided to become a cop. Well, let's get into this interesting twist. Why did he decide to become a cop? Well, not by choice, and here's why. Well, the state of California actually passed this really dumb law, but for some people it is smart. I don't know if it's dumb or smart. Anyway, if you're a bounty hunter, it totally killed the whole business of bounty hunter. Bounty hunter no more, and here's why. Bail services. Well, usually in the United States, if you commit a crime, there is a bail set on you. But in California, they decided it's not really nice to have a bail service because most of the time, people just go ahead and skip on bail, and then they don't have enough to pay. Eventually, they end up in jail because they can't pay bail. And if so, it actually hurts people who are poor, which is right. So because of that whole thing, what they decide to do is get rid of the whole bail system. So now there's 3 kinds of offenders. Either you're too dangerous to be on the street and you're never gonna go on it in the first place. I think some people are gonna actually have some kind of a bail service to them, but mostly they went away with the whole thing. I'm not exactly sure how it actually works, but it's either you get the bail or you don't. But actually, yeah, here is the free service, I just remembered. So either bail, or you're going to have home monitoring kind of a device right on you, or of course you're going to get released with a fine, and that's basically it. So don't quote me on that exactly, but this is what's going on here. Now, why did he move into become a cop is quite simple. You can't make money anymore as a bail or actually doing it in California. So to make it real, the whole show, he has to become an actual police officer now. And that was his great mistake. So instead of filming and moving to Arizona where you can still do bail and still become a bailman, he didn't want to move from Los Angeles. So he started doing the whole show with becoming a so-called cop. Plus he started to break things, make it more interesting. Yes, it makes it more interesting, but it also makes it more fake at the same time. Now, when you're arresting somebody in the United States, something very important that you have to do. It is called the Miranda rights. So Miranda rights warning. when you arrest somebody, you have to say to them, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say will be used against you in court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. Do you understand the rights I just read you? With those rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? You have to say those 5 things when you're arresting somebody. And in the year 2000, the court actually said that you have to say it. You can't no longer just arrest somebody without saying those rights. And if you get arrested in the United States without those rights being read to you, you can actually let go of you out of jail. So if the cop is a rookie cop, he arrests you, he forget to read you their rights, you basically have a ticket to get out of jail free because the procedure was not done properly. So with that said, he's arresting people without reading them their rights, which means they are actually free to get out. Keep this in mind when you're watching the entire show. Rookie mistakes right there. Also, he has a guy who is his partner. The partner is actually saying in one of the episodes, asshole tax. Interesting enough. So he's actually provoking situations with people. And now he's doing the same thing as a bailman, but you're provoking situations to start somebody to do something so you have an excuse to arrest you. As an actual police officer, this is exactly the opposite you want to do. You want to de-escalate the situations. Interesting enough, every single time he gets into a situation with somebody who is trying to skip bail, they always run away from him. They always seem to not want to get arrested. And that is actually unusual because in most specific cases, if somebody wants to get arrested, they're going to do as much as they can not to get arrested. Let's put it this way. You don't want to get arrested. Most people don't want to get arrested. Most people are not going to resist cops. Most people are not going to do that. And especially not going to resist a bailman. He's not even a cop. So why would you resist him in the first place and get offenses? Now, can you do citizen's arrest? You can. But his vehicle is not really the kind of a vehicle that a bail bondsman would actually use, because just the way it is. Now, he became a cop, so-called cop, and this is even more interesting. And if you're an officer of the law and you answer, you don't say, I work for the sheriff's office. You actually have to say your actual badge number right in front and tell them when they ask you. And you're asking for documents. You're usually asking people for license and registration. You have to go take it and check it with the computer. Look at his computer. He doesn't have an actual computer in his dashboard that he goes around and he looks up people's information. Interesting enough, he always finds a reason to escalate the situation, so he has a reason to put people behind bars. Now, I used to work in a place and I used to teach in a place where we had really those kind of situations almost every single day. And first thing you actually learn from there, and they actually teach you, is that you don't escalate the situation. There is things you have to do to de-escalate the situation every single time. So every policeman is actually trained to do that. Plus, there was a lot of things that he's doing wrong. And one of them is when he was actual cop. No, before he was actual cop, this is the interesting one. He goes around and he shoots one of those guys who is so-called has a weapon. So he pulls out a weapon. You can see he so-called he pulled up a weapon far away. The guy goes with the shotgun and starts to shoot him a lot of times, and he misses every single time that other guy. Now, in most cases, you'll get super fired for doing this, because the other guy didn't even show that he has a weapon. You start shooting at somebody who is so-called, you don't know if he's armed or not, but you're shooting at him. So overall, everything here points out Patty Mayo is not what he is supposed to be, which is either a cop or, of course, a security guard. It is just a show. It is entertaining. It is interesting, but there are so many things here that make it look not believable. And if you're watching the entire show, you can constantly find something over there that is just not adding up. The story that they give you, the names, like you would see, like when he is actually calling them the specific name, it is a scripted name. How can you tell it's scripted? He actually calling them the name, and they often don't even respond to it. They're like, what are you calling me? Because in reality, that's not the actual name. That's why they don't respond it to to the name itself so well. There's so many things that constantly happen during the show that you'll be like, oh, he did this wrong, or like you could see them filming him and he's struggling to contain a guy. And in most cases, you would call the cameraman or some backup to help you out. In a lot of cases, he doesn't do it. And sometimes he will call a backup to actually to come over, and it never actually comes over ever. So in a lot of cases, you can see lots of mistakes, lots of rookie mistakes that no policeman will ever do, and of course no security guard or so-called bailiff, bondsman, bounty hunter will do that as well, including leaving the keys in the vehicle, not actually turning the vehicle off, having full uniform on. And the funny thing is there was a part over there that he comes with the full uniform on and the guy's in the pool. So he takes off all his uniform, jumps in there to get him out of the pool. And a lot of times he would do things that are totally unnecessary. Why would you jump in the pool? Most cops would never actually take off their uniform and jump inside of someone else's pool just to pull somebody out of there who didn't even commit any crime. More likely he's just a suspect as a bail jumper. That's about it. It's just too much work even for a bail bondsman to go ahead and retrieve somebody. Talking about the last thing and the last reason why the guy is fake, it's pretty simple. If every single day you're trying to catch a fugitive, or so-called every few days, eventually you're going to get injured on the job. Somebody's going to pull a gun at you, like a real gun. Somebody will going to try to shoot you. Something is going to happen. Every single day might not be as eventful. All those things don't add up, and it's always entertaining. It always gets to the next level. Keep watching the Patty Mayo show. It is interesting, but that said, the guy is totally staged. It's fake, but it is 100% awesome and entertaining, and I really enjoy watching it. Nothing wrong about watching that show. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the Geek Tech show, and see you in the next episode of this channel.